Check 1 2 testing. Check 1 2 test 1 2. Check 1 2 test 1 2.
Check one, check. Check, check, check. Can you hear me good? Well, check, check.
Check 1 2, check. Mic check 1 2, check check. Testing testing 1 2, check. Mic check 1 2.
We are going to get this here. Corner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The members could introduce themselves. Representative Rigby.
Good afternoon, Representative Jim Rigby, Cambria and Somerset County, 71st District.
Good afternoon, David Rowe. I have the privilege of representing Union, Snyder, Juniata, and Mifflin counties. Thank you.
Representative Tim O'Neill, I represent the great county of Washington. So we're literally 13 miles from my house. But I appreciate you hosting a hearing so close to my district. I'm also the caucus whip for the Republican caucus.
Representative Josh Kale, and I second that sentiment. My district is Beaver in Washington County, the western side of Washington County.
From the 50th District, parts of Greene, Washington County, where we invite you to come home, go big, and have a ball. Very honored and privileged to represent the 50th District, Bud Cook.
And we also have members that will be online. Right now we have Chairwoman Donna Overlander is online, and others will be coming on and off as the hearing proceeds. Representative Cook, thank you very much for having us to your district. You're the best salesman this district could ask for. If you'd like to give us some opening brief remarks, it'd be much appreciated.
As I said, greetings from the 50th District, and I used to watch former Speaker Terzai's eyes roll back every time I was acknowledged in Harrisburg. I wanted people to know who I represented and where we were from. There are other elected officials represented. Jared is from Congressman Rushenthaler's office. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Is there anybody else that we literally sent the invitation to every Pennsylvania senator and every Pennsylvania Republican House member, so they know we're here today and what we're talking about. Why a policy hearing about Cokeburg Dam? This actually, for me, historically started in 2016 before I ever became an elected House of Representative member. I had the honor of meeting all the people in the community at Cokeburg, as well as the Ellsworth Sportsman's Club. I can remember a meeting particularly that we had at the Sportsman's Club where the community turned out in bulk. The sportsmen were there, everybody that was interested, elected officials there. The one thing I remember the most about that meeting that I'll never forget as long as I live, there was a table set up and people brought photographs. And those photographs were of generations, as far as 5, 6 generations back, of family events of their children fishing, their family fishing, their grandfathers, grandmothers, all the family was there. So historically, that's where I kind of started with the whole program. The current status is the DP meeting that we had in Harrisburg. Not many people know about. We literally went with the engineer from the Cokeburg Dam with hand drawings to sit down in the Rachel Carson building on the 4th floor with 6 DEP engineers. And I'll never forget that meeting. The engineers thought we were there to save the Cokeburg Dam as a water source. They didn't realize that we were after it for the recreational value and the community asset it is. When we explained that and they understood it, 5 of the 6 engineers there were fishermen, and they knew exactly why we were there and exactly what we were doing, to the point that they took our engineers down to their CAD machine and redid the entire drawings. And I think that's really important because not everybody in DEP is our enemy or working against us. There are very, very good people, rank and file in DEP, that get it. It seems like it's the bureaucracy where we get hung up. Finally, the last thing that we did is we had a meeting with the former Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who is now serving as our current Senator, Fetterman. We just couldn't seem to get his attention that this was about recreation, this was about a community asset. The meeting ended with my finger under his chin. I get rather passionate about things, and a good thing my boss, Rachel, was there. Where do we go from here? This meeting today is about inviting members of the administration who oversee DEP and work with DEP to become part of our team to save, resurrect, and put this community asset back into action here in the Cokeburg area and beyond that. 8 years is far too long to get something done. Probably said enough at this point. Mr. Chairman, I'll shut up now.
Thank you, Representative. And I can personally confirm your advocacy over the last number of years on this particular issue and other issues like it around the Western Pennsylvania area. The Department of Environmental Protection, not just in this type of context, but in many other contexts, has caused significant delays, whether it's growth and development, whether it's with our natural gas industry or whether it's with recreation like we are hearing today. And we're trying to find ways that we can better improve the process. And like you said, Bud, Representative Cook, excuse me, I'm sorry. Like you said, it's not all bad there. It's just we can't get things done in a timely fashion, and the bureaucracy has become infuriating in a number of different contexts. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our testifiers today. The Cokeburg Dam, as Bud has really relayed to us, has been a community asset for more than 100 years, and the DEP is attempting really to destroy it. The problems with the dam exist, but so does the funding for the dam. And our DEP must find ways to work with local stakeholders to make sure that we can effectively save this dam. So today we have two testifiers before us. If the testifiers could, their testimony could be between 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll open it up for questions. You could go longer. I'm not going to gavel you out. Don't worry. But if you could keep it somewhere near within that context, it would be very much appreciated. Then we'll open it up to questions from the representatives here and the representatives online as well. Our testifiers are the Honorable Holly Detz-Dranzo, the president of the Cokeburg Borough Council, and Mr. Lambert. Thank you all for being here. Honorable, you're up.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon to our esteemed guests, our Representative Bud Cook, the residents of the great borough of Cokeburg, and our surrounding communities who are here with us today. My name is Holly Detz-Dranzo, and I'm the president of Cokeburg Council, and we, the council, would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. We appreciate your support and attention to this project. We are gathered here to discuss the many issues and roadblocks with making the Cokeburg Dam a viable resource in the community once again. For many of the longtime residents of Cokeburg and surrounding communities, this dam has been a beacon of the green light is on. Okay. For many of the longtime residents of Cokeburg and surrounding communities, this dam has been a beacon of recreation and a symbol of everything wholesome to our youth. The Cokeburg Dam began with the Bethlehem Mine Corporation, which constructed the dam, also known as Reservoir Number 4, in 1902, for use in their mining operations. In 1953, Cokeburg Borough acquired the dam and began using it as a water source for the residents. In addition, the body of water was also became as a source of recreation for the community. From 1958 to 1992, the dam was stocked with fish for recreation. In 1992, Cokeburg Borough leased the dam to the Ellsworth Sportsman's Club, where they hosted events including an annual tournament for their members and outside groups. This continued until the borough was forced to cancel the lease due to receiving grant money. As an educator in this community for over 33 years, I would often hear stories from my students excited about the upcoming Kids' Day at the dam. It was a great feeling to see my former and current students with their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. It was not uncommon to see folks teaching and mentoring not only their own families, but others who needed help with baiting hooks, reeling in the fish, looking for spots where fish were swimming so they could have their big catch of the day. Kids' Day was sponsored and was open to everyone in all the local communities and became a great way to unite and bring us all together. It was not uncommon to see the cars and trucks line Route 917 and parking went well into neighborhood streets. It was a well-received activity and was always welcomed by the Cokeburg Borough. This is just one of numerous examples of the impact the Cokeburg Dam has had on the community. The community fund continued on for many years. In 2012, I transferred from the elementary to the 8th grade to teach English language arts. The boys would ask each other, "Do you want to go fishing after school? Are you fishing today?" And so I felt comfortable because I taught them in 1st grade. And I said, "Well, where do you boys fish?" And they said, "The Cokeburg Dam." I would not only see middle school students walking with their tackle boxes and fishing rods, but also adults doing the same. Providing this resource in the community provided a safe place for kids and adults to gather in a constructive, positive way. I share these stories with you as a way to demonstrate how the loss of the dam has impacted our community. Now I want to share with you a historical perspective of the borough's interactions with DEP. Bear with me as I take you through various interactions and dealings we have had while trying to resolve our many structural issues and concerns. In 1981, a routine national dam inspection was performed, which resulted in the Cokeburg Dam being designated as a high-hazard, small-sized dam. The structure was then classified as an unsafe, non-emergency dam. The report then concluded with numerous measures to be taken to ensure safe operation of the dam. In 1989, updates and repairs were made in response to previous dam inspection findings of maintenance on the spillway. In 2000, the DEP expressed concern over the previous repairs to the spillway, which could potentially reduce the water intake. So again, modifications were made. Finally, on April 16, 2001, a DEP letter considered the repair of the dam complete. Then, in May 2007, an additional letter was submitted to the borough, which now refer to a previous report concerning the stability of the dam's embankment. It stated, previous management overlooked the need for the submission of a complete dam application and found that a permit was never issued for the dam. Although this was a minor concern to the DEP, they were still concerned about the stability referenced in the 1981 report. Since 2009, the borough and our engineering team has worked towards a design that would be approved by the DEP. A dam stability investigation was completed. Among other items, they were of concern to the DEP in conjunction with the design approval. During a July 2012 telephone conversation with the DEP, it was confirmed the sale of the water supply to Charleroi Water Authority, and the water treatment plant was abandoned. This acquisition now changed the classification from a high hazard to a low hazard dam, which then caused a change to the overall design. A December 26, 2012 DEP letter confirmed the review of the preliminary design plans submitted by our engineer in December 2012 and concurred with the approach stated in these plans. A February 2016 letter referencing a 2015 telephone conversation informed the borough that the dam would become high hazard again because, in the department's judgment, a failure would fill the area below the dam with water, which would flood Route 917 by a half a foot or 6 inches. And the business located would be impacted. This letter once again changed the design. 4 times in 2019 and once in 2020, our engineers submitted and resubmitted updated plans for the DEP to review. Cokeburg Council had no further communication until early 2023 when Representative Cook questioned what was the DEP doing to help our borough with this ongoing issue during a session in Harrisburg. Shortly after, we received a letter once again outlining our deficiencies and asking for an annual inspection report, revisions, a new dam stability report, although these documents had been provided in 2020. A drawdown of the dam, water in the dam, was completed in December of 2023 as required by the DEP and is being maintained. In January of this year, our engineers electronically submitted an annual inspection report, the visions outlined in the December 2020 letter, and provided a new dam stability report, all at the cost of Cokeburg Borough through a grant. Last week, the borough requested via email an update of the latest submissions. The DEP stated they did not receive the entire dam application package, annual inspection report, nor the emergency action plan. Our engineers responded via email. They did indeed upload the required forms and provided them with a reference number. These latest emails illustrate the numerous back and forth delays we have had since 1981. We received a DCED grant in 2013 and had to return most of it because of the delays. We also currently have a $200,000 LSA grant with $91,000 remaining, which had the deadline for completion extended numerous times. All of the money from this grant has been spent on engineering fees due to the continued request for changes to the designs that have been submitted. Once this grant is depleted, our borough cannot afford any additional engineering fees nor the cost of any design plan that is approved. These delays have also increased the cost of the repair. What started as a project costing less than $1 million, and we believe it was around $400,000 to $500,000, is now a $10 million project. In the spring of 1981, I was a junior in high school. I have graduated from California University of Pennsylvania with a Bachelor's of Science. I went back to become a teacher. I have worked for over 33 years in public education and have since retired. Our borough secretary and one of our council members weren't even born. This problem is ongoing, but we are hopeful to have a resolution by the summer of 2024 to move forward. In closing, I would like to thank, with our greatest gratitude to Bud Cook for his attention in this matter. For the past 7 years, he and his team have been nothing but less supportive and understanding. Thank you to your committee today for taking the time to be with us, and I hope my testimony and support for the great residents of Cokeburg will encourage you to initiate eternal changes in your departments, and this process for small municipalities will not incur similar hurdles. 43 years. It's been great.
Thank you for your testimony.
Yes.
And Chief, before you give your testimony, I'd like to say thank you for the volunteer work that you do. Across this Commonwealth, firefighters are becoming harder and harder to find, and we appreciate the good work that you put in and people like that are in your department put in. So the floor is yours.
We appreciate
You have no time. I took yours too.
it. You probably did.
Just want to introduce myself. My name's Dave Lambert. I'm the fire chief of the Cokeburg Volunteer Fire Department. I've been involved in public safety on the fire and EMS side for approximately 31 years. And I also did work for the borough back in 2010 when a lot of this had started to transpire. So I can relate to Holly's frustration from a resident standpoint and actually from a fire department standpoint. I'll touch base briefly on the public safety aspect of the dam, of what it is a benefit for the fire department and for mutual aid departments. We use it very much as a secondary water source. The Cokeburg Borough has 2 water tanks that are located up on the hill here that supplies water to the residents, to the fire hydrants, and so forth, through a water system that's probably every bit of 50 years old. The Charleroy Water Department maintains that system on the fire side. But also having the dam, the reservoir there as a secondary source in the event of an emergency has been used countless number of times over the years. I'll give you a key example. Approximately 5 years ago, there was a fire at the historic Century Inn, which is up in Scenery Hill, less than a mile and a half away from here. Anybody that may be familiar with it, from researching it, I personally was there as well as one of the first apparatus responding. Very large fire. The water source in that particular area was having a hard time keeping up with the fire equipment and the fire efforts. We utilized the reservoir down here as a fill station to transport water via tankers from the reservoir to the fire scene. And without that as a resource, there may have been a different outcome on how quickly we were able to, put the fire out there. From a training aspect, it's a very valuable resource for us. We've used it numerous times over the last 5 to 10 years as a training location for ourselves and our mutual aid. It gives us the ability to pull water out of the reservoir, throw our fire equipment, and pump the water back into the reservoir without having to use the hydrants or put a burden financially wise on Charleroy Water or the residents or the fire department for any water that we use for training aspects. It gives us the ability to operate for numerous hours for a training for our younger members and to keep our senior members crisp and well trained. I feel, and I can say this from the experience that I've had, you never know when an emergency is going to happen. It could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning. And it would be a very good peace of mind to realize that if the reservoir is repaired and it is a utilized source for us, it's just peace of mind to know that we can use it as a secondary if necessary. Holly touched base on pretty much the history, and she did a tremendous job of it. Those are pretty much the highlights that I can think of off the top of my head on a public safety aspect. To make a quick decision if it needs to be made pertaining to the status of it.
All right, we're going to go to questions. Representative Cook.
We might want to delve in a little bit further, Chief, about the important role that the dam played during the Century Inn. For those that don't know, the Century Inn is a historic landmark back to 17.
George Washington stayed there.
George Washington stayed there.
He stayed everywhere.
If that dam is not there or it's not up to full capacity, we may not have had Century Inn back into service the way it is today. So as much as it is recreational, it's also service from a public service. So from your perspective,
equipment that you can operate all at one time. with the ability of the dam here, the reservoir, having the ability to transport water in via tanker shuttles, it gives us the ability to utilize additional fire equipment if it's, fighting the initial fire or protecting exposures or any other type of buildings that may be around it, to keep any type of damage to a minimum. So it was utilized that entire call, that I feel from my experience helped any additional damage to any surrounding houses or anything like that.
Very good. Appreciate it. Holly, this one goes to you as a former teacher. One of the objectives that we had, but we weren't able to pull off, was we wanted to have a student from Bentworth School District here. Having been a teacher in Bentworth School District, share with our audience the national honors and some of the stories from Bentworth School District that's part of that whole thing, the national recognition that they've received.
I'm personal individuals, or
But the school district as a whole has been...
our school district.
Right.
Oh, our school district has received numerous awards. We're a Blue Ribbon High School. Is this what you're asking? You are Blue Ribbon High School. We're a Schools to Watch middle school. We were redesignated for that same honor. We were named one of the best places to work. We are a shining star in this part, and we're a very small school district, but I think what we offer our students, we know the students, we know their names, I know where they live, I taught their parents. Some of them are the I didn't teach the grandparents, but I knew the great-grandparents. Obviously, I didn't teach them. This small-knit community, and I used to fish at the dam when I was growing up because I lived on Grand Street. And I always tell the story that my brother came home one day and told my mom and dad, my grandma, he caught a half a catfish, and because his buddy and he had reeled it in, and my dad's yelling at him, "How could you catch a half a catfish? It's not right." My mom's upset because the neighbor's going to hear. And so there are really good stories and very good memories of Cokeburg fishing, along with the school district.
Representative Rigby.
Thank you, Chairman. To our testifiers, thank you. I come from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. You might have heard of us. We've experienced 3 major floods. The first one is one of the worst natural disasters in the world because of the breaking of the South Fork Dam. And so when you're talking about the reservoir and some of the problems you're having at this dam, if monies are found and monies are made available through both us and federal by the numbers I'm looking at, it's not going to be able to be done just by the state. You're going to need other resources. Is there a plan in place to make it sustainable? So you don't want to fix the dam and 5 years or 10 years later, we're looking again for more monies. Are those things put in place so that if the monies are made available, there's actions in place that you can sustain it and keep it? And
we would work with our engineers, and we would find ways to keep updated, not let it break completely down and then be in a mess again.
And is the reservoir, is it at the mouth of it that seems to be where the problem? I was trying to look at the mapping here. Is there just one area of the dam itself that seems to be the problem that DEP is looking at, or is it the dam as a whole?
It's the breast of the dam.
It's just at the breast.
It's
Okay.
the breast, yes. Yes. Yes, George? Yes, George?
Can I say something?
I don't know. I don't think so. You're not allowed, I don't think. No.
You could communicate to her, and she could testify to it.
Anybody wants to know anything about Cokeburg Dam? There's nobody in this room knows more about Cokeburg Dam than I do. Okay?
Okay, what do you...
I took care of the lake for 16 years, raised the money to stock the lake, made the buttons, had the kids, they made all the improvements over there. And then after the DEP came in, that was all ruined. That was all ruined for all the kids in Bentworth area. And adults, senior citizens.
Yeah, okay. Yes, it was well received for all ages. And I remember the buttons because various groups before the Owlsman Sportsman's Club had taken over. We leased the dam. The fire department, we actually have a license from Bud Cabina from 1958 with the license for the Cokeburg Volunteer Fire Department. He'd pay, people would pay, and that money would go to stock the trout in the dam.
So the problem is at the breast of the dam.
Yes.
Is it failing, or do they feel that it's going to fail?
They feel it's going to fail. My grandmother was born in 1900 and lived her whole life in this town. And it never flooded. It never broke. It never breached. It didn't even flood in the 2004 Ivan. When Chartiers Houston flooded, Cokeburg Dam never flooded. It didn't break. Yes. And I think my grandmother would have told me if the reservoir would have flooded, because that would have been a big story, just like the Johnstown flood. According to Garvin Bauer, in a 2009 letter on the Cokeburg Dam stability, although the slope stability analysis indicates that the dam is only marginally stable, the fact that it reportedly has not yet experienced a catastrophic failure implies some apparent inherent stability. And then it refers, there's a letter from a 1919 dam that states, other information in the inspection report indicates that 2 brick core walls with 9-inch thick with a puddle core between the walls existed at the time of the inspection in 1919. It was also noted that the portion of a wall exposed on the crest had fallen down. There are 2 walls, and our engineer actually found it when he was over tapping in December. And at one time, now I wasn't there, but Barbara Cabina, who's on the council as well, DEP had stated, if there is a wall, we will reclassify this to a low hazard dam. Am I right, Barb? It would make a big difference in the design.
So have you notified DEP of the wall?
Yes.
And they're not accepting that now?
Well, there was no response. At one time, we were going out to bid. Our engineer, Carl Decas, stood at the borough meeting and said, we're getting ready to go to bid. And then DEP backtracked. They didn't like this. I want to be dead. Yeah.
I don't think we got an answer about sustainability. How are they going to be able to maintain it if they get the funding? That was the original question.
Yes. Oh,
so I appreciate the answers. It goes
Yes.
back again to the original question. If the monies are made available, are you able to sustain and maintain that dam once that happens? Or is it you're going to rely on funding again to
Yes.
be able to maintain
Yes.
and keep that was the original
Oh, okay.
question.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, both testifiers.
sorry.
Thank you.
Whip
Chief,
O'Neill.
thank you for your service.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for being here. It's clear that pretty much the whole audience is very passionate about this issue. I would just wanted to clarify a few things for me, but I don't know if there's anybody else who has the same question. So, Cokeburg Borough, the municipality itself, owns the reservoir.
Oh, yes. Yes, we are the owners.
Okay. All right. So there's in your testimony you mentioned on the first page that you canceled the lease of the Ellsworth Sportsman Club
Yes.
due to receiving a grant money. What?
Yes.
I'm confused about what.
The reason why we had to cancel because the LSA money, they couldn't give us money to fix a dam that wasn't going to be open to the public. The Ellsworth Sportsman's Club.
So they had exclusive use of it.
Yes, except on certain occasions when they would have different activities or events, and then they would open it up to the all local communities.
Okay.
And that is why we had to break
Okay.
their lease.
That makes more sense to me. I am 43 years old.
There you go.
So this started before my first birthday.
Yes.
So I certainly see the perspective and the frustration in dealing with DEP.
Yes.
I think from my perspective, I don't know that I have any more questions. I think you clarified what's going on for me, but just if you bear with a little bit of commentary, I am unfortunately I'm not surprised when it comes to DEP and dealing with DEP with a small municipality like this, but I am at a loss of words to express my dismay that regardless of whether or not DEP owns this, you own this, some other state agency owns this, the idea that some resolution hasn't been found so that you can move forward in some manner, or make a decision in some manner with regards to the property and to the reservoir. In 43, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's flat out ridiculous. We oftentimes we talk about DEP, and I know pretty much everybody here on the panel, at least, will often complain about maybe how it taking too long for a permit to come over the course of a year or year and a half. But this certainly takes the cake with response for DEP. I'm not aware of this area, but my district goes all around here. And, Bud, Representative Cook, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I will tell you, Holly, Chief, in the crowd, that Representative Cook certainly has my support as we move forward to correct this, because what you all do with your community asset should be up to you. DEP needs to get out of the way and stop simply being an obstacle into what your community decides is best for you. So thank you for your testimony. Thank you, Representative Cook, for bringing this to our attention.
And I would invite all of you, if you haven't been to the dam, to go over and take a look at the ravine, because I did ask DEP in one of the Zoom meetings we had. It was late fall, I believe. Have you been out physically to look at the lay of the land? And they said, no, we're going by the computerized maps. And I said, well, there's this big ravine, and Royal Hydraulics sits down, and no.
Yeah, unfortunately, you knew the answer before you asked, right? Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Representative Rowe.
Thank you, Chairman. I got a couple of questions for you, Chief. You mentioned how there's some uncertainty when you're not sure if there's going to be water there or not. Who's actually controlling those drawdowns, and are you guys not kept informed, or is it just the uncertainty of the DEP timetables that you're not sure long-term for planning purposes?
Well, to answer on the drawdowns, I can't answer that. I just know that there has been occurrences where we would schedule a training, we would go over, the water source would be high. Rainwater and stuff has a lot of effect on keeping it full. And then, we'd participate in our training with our mutual aid departments. You'd go past it a week later, and it was below the ability for us to be able to operate out of it. There's different levels of it being drained down. With our fire equipment, it has to be at a certain level for it to be accessed by us. So, when I make an occurrence of saying drain down, if it's lowered 3 or 4 feet or 5 feet, that may change the ability for us to utilize it. That may be a question for Holly on how it's drained down or when it's drained down. I can't comment on that just for the point.
The borough that when it's drawn down 3 or 4 feet, when that who currently controls those levels?
The borough controls, but we do it upon the request of the DEP, which is a good point, because if we had to draw this down to DEP and there was a fire emergency, you wouldn't know until you actually gone to the dam to find out there isn't any water, and that's precious time that has been lost.
Yeah. I mean, I will say one thing. From all the years I've been involved with it, the communication between the borough and the fire department a long time ago was never the best. But with Hawley and the new people on the council, you know, there has been a tremendous ability to work together. Communication is way better than what it used to be. But, you know, things slip through the cracks. And I guess just from a fire department standpoint, having an idea of a direction on, you know, if this is going to continue to be a resource for us, or do we need to look for other resources in the event of an emergency? Because the emergencies are going to continue, unfortunately.
Is there any predictability to DEP's timelines for the drawdowns or lack thereof, or is it just kind of you get a phone call and it's that?
We have to keep it drawn down until DEP decides if our plans, pardon me, to repair.
So at this point, it will be drawn down.
It will be drawn down until
this
DEP.
resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Has there been any conversation? I know you reference here the number of extensions that you've had on these grants, and you know these are DCED, right? They're sister agency grants from DEP. Oh, they can't. Well, these are DCED, right? Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. So is there communication with when you have to file for any sort of extensions, or when you have grants that you said you had to return this DCED grant because of delays? Any communication with DEP to say, hey, you're like, this is all, you know, executive administration grant funding that you're, you know, trying to deploy on one end and that DEP is making you give back? Is there any communication between the departments?
They know. And I think at one point, I don't want to go on record for saying this, but I am. I am. I think they're a little bit upset with us because when they wanted core drillings, our local company who does core drillings did this for courtesy, pro bono, because they also fished in the dam when they were little. So I think that we keep having different people who we can reach out to as a source to help us along the way. I think that's also a sort salt in the wound to DEP.
I think I know the answer, but has DEP ever offered to make up the shortfalls that their delays have caused you to lose?
Well, I could tell you another story, but I'll tell you when we're off record, off camera, and off of everything, what they told the borough members at one time about the funding. And no, they have not.
Okay.
No, but that would be nice. I can write a letter.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me, and this is something that I feel I need to say. Over the years of being involved in the fire service, we're a volunteer department, okay? So I can't tell you the number of countless fish fries, bingos, ticket sales that people that are members of the department that are volunteering their time to raise funds, okay, to keep emergency services available for our community and the neighboring communities. It is very frustrating for me, from one of those responders, to see the amount of grant money, the amount of funds that have been used for this feasibility, and then now it's another one, and now it's something different. It seems like there's an awful lot of money sources that have been wasted on trying to establish a repair direction for this, where that could be directed in numerous other directions. You know, for me, it's just very frustrating that how much money has been wasted, and we're no farther ahead than we were in 2010 when I worked for the borough.
1981.
Well, I don't even want to go back that far.
I know it's probably of small comfort, but to say that you guys unfortunately are not alone. I think you are dealing with one of the more egregious. I mean, the timeline of this is ridiculous. I mean, I know that in my home county, there was a large business that wanted to move into the area and then decided, we're leaving. And the exact quote in the newspaper was, it'll cost half as much and take half as long if we just go to West Virginia. And that was the exact quote. They just left. Why would they bother? I had a campground in my district that changed hands, and the previous owner had, done a ton of work to the well water system, all this work that was all approved by DEP, and then DEP misplaced the paperwork, came back, asked for copies. The new owner says, I don't know, I just bought this company. I don't have it. The old owner took it with him. And they said, oh, well, then you have to start over. and they made them do everything again that had just been done a year before because they misplaced it. So, I mean, I know it's not of any comfort to you guys. I know looking at some of these costs, I mean, it's a death by 1,000 cuts for small businesses or small boroughs, municipalities, because what one DEP person told me, well, it's only another $300 here and another $500. It's not that much money. Well, right, it's only $300 here, $500 here, but eventually that all adds up and takes you from a $500,000 project to a $10 million project over 40 years. And that's exactly what's happening. And again, it's not comforting that you're not alone, but I want to thank you guys for being that voice.
We operate on a $300,000 budget. And $300 is a lot of money to us. Every place you look, it's been federally funded. Our new playground coming in, it was the COVID outdoor money. We had to use it for outdoors. We would have rather have paved roads. We could have had nicer roads for our residents, but we couldn't. But thank you for your sympathy. But we are hopeful. We're still hopeful.
And I want to thank Bud Cook as well, and obviously Chairman Kale and the Policy Committee, because this is something that obviously you guys are the most egregious example I've ever seen. But this is a statewide issue for sure, and I want to thank you guys for being the voice. I want to thank Chairman Kale and Rep Cook for being the voice here and drawing attention to it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. So I have a few questions, and we're going to close it up with Representative Cook giving some closing statements. Help me understand this. When was the last time DEP was here? Physically here to look at the dam.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can't recall when the last time they were here. I'm assuming for the initial inspection in 1981, they were here.
I was teaching. Kathy Frey was the president. That's when they told you guys how to raise money.
Way back. I think it's been longer than 5 years.
It's been longer than 5 to 10 years, I would think. They told us to have a bake sale to raise money.
So what's been going on
That's what I wanted to say.
is
Barb was there when they told the council. I was teaching at the time, so they told the borough to go have a bake sale to raise the money. Because we were they were.
so.
I think we should get more money
so
for being insulted.
It's not very often, right?
Okay, here, wait. There was a dam inspection. This is dated 3/12 of 2021, and that was 3 years. But
So help me understand the totality of what's happening here. They all came to you and said, there's a problem with your dam.
yes,
And they said, this is, and so then you had engineers come and say, well, this is how we're going to fix it, correct?
yes,
And then over the course of the last 40 years, they kept coming back to you and saying, well, that's not going to work. And so your engineers fixed the problem that they noted,
yes,
and then they came up with another problem,
yes,
and another problem,
yes,
and another problem.
yes. You see, you understand very well. You must
So-
have been top of the class.
So believe me, I wasn't. I promise. I promise. So for 43 years,
As old as Mr. O'Neill.
Geez, that's old. So for 43 years, we've had a situation where the goalpost has continuously been moved
Yes,
back and
yes,
back and back.
yes,
And so now we're at a point where you've submitted another engineering
yes,
report, and
yes.
are you looking for funding now, or are they telling
We're
you
looking
again?
for DEP to approve so we can
approve.
move forward.
And how long ago was that? You said that was
Well, we submitted, our engineers submitted, let me see here, in December, and then last week the borough asked via email for updates that as of this morning. Okay, what? Who's this? Who's the engineer? The engineer's going to complete, once again, this is complete one again. Again.
And this, yeah, right. And this is obviously costing the borough that.
Oh, it's costing the borough.
every
The
single
last
time.
stability report that they wanted cost $11,000, and it was the same one. That was last month, and
And now
yes.
they're asking for another
yes.
paperwork.
It's electronic, and they
Could
couldn't
you
get it.
repeat what he said into the
Yeah.
microphone so we have it on record? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. You
Oh, here.
you testify to what he said. I'm sorry. It's they want the complete dam application,
They want the complete
Okay.
dam application electronically submitted.
and you guys just submitted an update last month. Last week. And so this is going to cost more money for you guys and for
Oh,
the
yes.
borough, for the
I
engineer.
don't understand this. If I'm an engineer, and my cousins in Ohio are engineers, and I have a license stamp, why would I submit something that's going to put my license in jeopardy if it's going to fail?
Yeah.
Isn't that I wouldn't put anything my teaching license on the line for anything. Why would I, if I were an engineer, put my livelihood, my stamp on anything that's going to fail?
They wouldn't.
I know. Yes.
So
I have another theory, but I'm not going to say.
do you have any estimate as far as how much this has cost the borough in engineering fees? Because you put a mark at $10 million. It went from under $1 million to $10 million now, but it's actually more than that because you've spent all this time and money
Yes,
and
yes.
energy up to this point. Just a rough estimate. I don't need exact invoices or anything.
Bottom left. In the yellow barb. $128,342.37. And we have nothing to show for this.
Well, it certainly helps us as representatives to be here, and I want to reiterate what Representative O'Neill had said about having our support as much as we can, helping Bud, Representative Cook, because he has been advocating for this and talking about this. But now you actually see it here and understand this issue in more detail. I mean, this is egregious. This is absolutely egregious.
I think we should go on TV.
Well, we're on
big
TV.
I mean, big TV,
Yeah.
like the big networks. Barb had told me this $128,000. That's not the total because there were previous engineering fees. This is just the grant money we spent. Oh, yes, 1980 to 19. Yes.
So probably $200,000-$300,000.
Oh, $300,000. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was a young child too in 1981.
Well, I'm also sorry that this is happening. We will certainly keep an eye on it. Along with, I know Representative Cook has been very diligent in keeping an eye on it, and will continue to do so. So, Representative Cook, if you'd like to make some closing remarks.
Recently, I've been receiving emails and alerts that start out by saying, "Getting it done." I want to be very clear why we had this meeting here in this hearing today. This is about informing people the egregious actions that have occurred prior to this. But this is also about building a team. And this is about an invitation to get it done. And I'm going to be very blunt. Surprise, surprise. Governor Shapiro, Lieutenant Governor Davis, DEP is an administrative function. This is our invitation from us, our community, the great people of Cokeburg, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to join the team and get this done, whatever it takes. We, the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, deserve better performance and better service from us, your elected representatives, to serve you. I can't imagine living anywhere else in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania than right here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Thank you all so much for your diligence, your input, and most of all, your passion for the dam. We're here to get it done.
And thank you, Representative Cook, for bringing us here and for showcasing your district and representing your district. And we appreciate what we heard today. And you have grown your list of allies to everyone that's here today. And now we have an official record. And hopefully, Representative Cook, your efforts are going to pay off. I'm confident that they will. All right. Until next time, this meeting is adjourned.